On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, welcome to 2023. Gemtech impresses, crushed by an Arctic Cat, and a tip of the hat to Andrew.
Alrighty. Okay, good evening, everybody. This is Danny and Marky, and this is episode 284 of the John 1911 podcast. This is the first episode of 2023. It's still weird saying that. It is currently 9:35 Eastern Standard Time, 9:36, and we are not organized. We don't have any preparation. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to catch up and be like, how's it going, stranger? So, how's it going, stranger?
Not bad. I thought that my exile, I guess, is over. I'm back now. It feels good to be back into the normal thread of life. So,
your
but
exile.
I had a few medical issues, and then all the holidays, and then everything else going on, and that huge sub-zero weather, and it's just like, let's hope all the bad stuff is behind us.
Yeah, you know what? It's been so long. I forgot to. Maybe we.
Excuse me.
Maybe we should. I don't know. Do you want to? Because you were out on a medical, and I forgot about that. Like, do you want to even delve? I don't know. Like, I mean, I know you're on your penis reduction surgery. Is getting too big again? I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. I went from elephant to horse, but it's okay. Things happen.
Okay. We're all getting older, and when as we get older, we call them procedures, but the reality is, that shit's a surgery. So, and you were in the hospital. You were in the hospital during the blizzard, weren't you? I forgot about that.
Yes, I was.
Oh my God.
I got out on Christmas Eve, so I missed a good chunk of it, which was nice.
Yeah.
It's just, there's just been so much going on. Have you been following the saga of Kevin McCarthy to make it to the House Speaker?
If we're going to jump both feet into some politics, because we're not going to do an hour tonight, I want to go ahead. I want to bring this subject up, and it's kind of politics, and just because I think it's funny. So the January 6th committee is interviewing all these people from the White House or in Donald Trump's orbit, asking, what happened and when it happened, and why happened, and who talked to who, and who texted who, and who did this and who did that. And so there was an interesting blurb that came out about Kellyanne Conway said that, they were like, well, you couldn't get a hold of the president, or someone's trying to reach the president, like, call these people off, and said, did you try to reach out to Melania? And Kellyanne Conway says, this is on the record, she says, yes, we tried to reach out to Melania. We couldn't get a hold of her because she didn't have her phone, because apparently she was packing up at the White House. And Kellyanne Conway said that, in their opinion, Melania is the only, quote, it was, in their opinion, Melania is the only person, quote, Donald Trump holds fear from, unquote, in his orbit. Apparently, Kellyanne Conway said that Melania runs that shit. She runs, she's like, if she tells Donald Trump to jump, he says, how fucking high? And I thought that was super interesting, because you know what? At the end of the day, you could be, a superhero, whatever, dude or president, but you know what? You still got a woman you got to answer to. So I just thought that was super interesting. Like, it was a side of Donald Trump that most people don't see. Like, it was to the point where she said that she literally runs the schedule, and she does what she wants. Like,
really?
Yeah. He's like, in the thing, it even said, it made a comment about, Trump likes to spend summers at Bedminster, his club in New Jersey. And right. Melania's like, no, I like Florida, and I'm staying in Florida. And he's like, yes, ma'am. So, I mean, she has a lot of, she doesn't have to do shit that he says,
Well,
he,
I think if the truth be known, there's a lot of married men that have that little general off to the side, you know. That well, you met that little potentate that I'm married to, so
the little general off to the side. Dude, I think that's the title of the podcast.
and that potentate I have, she's only 5'2", 130 pounds, but she's deadly with a knife. I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Shoot, cut a bitch.
I always, I have a fixed one eye open, and everybody wonders why. That's how I sleep.
So, and before we get into it, because the new software we're using, actually, I forgot to tell you this. This software that we're using, it does have a video feature. We're not going to publish videos for the podcast. It's just not our style. However, this software, we have to practice with it, Danny, but we should be able to record fairly high quality podcasts, even if I'm driving.
Well, I hope so.
I mean, I've never been able to record a high quality podcast while I was driving.
No,
and I spent a lot of time driving.
No, it's you get into dead zones and it gets sporadic at times.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like I know generally where, like if I'm coming in from the range, like I know, like there's some dead zones around the range, but I know once I hit the main highway, I could just drive in and we could record. I mean, I want to try it because it would save. Like, I spent 4 hours in a vehicle today, running around doing stuff, doing things. Or 3 hours, and we could have done a podcast a long time ago.
Yeah,
or done more.
Well, I that's an understatement. It's just, geez, tell me something that I'm not keenly aware of. Well, you having that fling with that painted red 4-wheeled side bitch you got. That's your new love, so I understand on second fiddle. I get it, I'm just like a used whore. Pay me and leave.
Hey, I was at the range today because I'm getting ready for these people, and we've while you listen to the podcast, you get to see what's coming ahead of what's on the website. So I've been shooting the Gemtech Integra, the integrally suppressed upper gun.
Right,
it wasn't really working. Like we've had it for a couple of years now, and it's never really worked right. And I don't know. So I started lubing it heavy with a bunch of the Wilson gun oil that I use on my 1911s.
Right.
And I'm also using Wolf ammo this time. I was using like a remanufactured ammo a couple years ago, whatever it was, but I haven't had hardly a bobble with it.
What caliber was that?
It's an AR. It's a 5.56. It's not like a 3. It's not anything crazy like a 300 or anything stupid.
Do you like the Wolf?
No. I mean, I don't like it, but the thing is, I shoot so much, and if it's available, I'll buy a couple cases of it. It doesn't matter to me because it's target ammo. Like if I'm shooting, if I'm shooting the AR in. If I'm shooting in the pit from 0 to 50 yards, or I'm turning around and I'm shooting to 200 or 300, on full-size man silhouettes, like I don't care. Like, if it holds a good 0 to 100 yards, 115 yards, which it does,
right?
Because I've also gone back to a true 100-yard 0 on the 5.56 rifles, and it's immediate. Just because I'm so used to it, because I'm an old dog, can't teach me new tricks, and because I default to how that 5.56 flies, even with that crappy Wolf ammo that's underpowered, I'm getting good hits without even trying out the 300.
Well, since we're on 5.56 or whatever we want to call it, Illinois is passing a 10-round magazine limit for everything.
Really?
Yes. Of course, it's going to be constitutionally challenged, but they, that's the first thing the new Democrat-controlled House, Senate, and governor in Illinois is doing.
Was that Pritzker up there? Is that who your governor is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
10,
So you're in the Sixth Circuit, right? Are you in the U.S. Sixth Circuit? Or you're
I don't know.
No, I think Sixth Circuit's Indiana. I don't think Sixth Circuit's Illinois.
I think we're 12th Circuit.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, you're not. You're not Sixth Circuit. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
It'll get overturned because all the other states, that have tried it have lost too, especially New York. But it's just it's not even a thinly veiled attempt in Illinois at a gun grab. It's just outright liberals losing their minds.
I don't know honestly where the courts are on limits, because I think I just heard it was right before New Year's or right after New Year's. Some court had ruled that a magazine is not a firearm, so it's not protected by the Second Amendment, and so they were allowing. I think that was the justification for limiting going after magazines somehow. I don't know how that won't hold up. I mean, you can't, shall not be infringed in the Second Amendment. I mean, you can't take away the ammo, you can't take away the magazines, because it's the point of the Second Amendment is have working guns. So I don't know. I think a 10-round. I think in some of these liberal states, I'll be honest with you, I think a 10-round mag limit will stick. I think it will.
Oh, it's
because it's not a ban.
It's absolutely crazy. I catch myself stuttering. I mean, it's just beyond ludicrous what these. The flight from Illinois of people to other states is. They said it's at an all-time high now.
I heard two things, a couple interesting things. I heard, was it California? Was it New York? I think maybe it was California. New York has lost 2,000. New York City has lost 2,000 millionaires since basically January of 2020. And I guess it was California has lost 300,000, I guess, residents again in this past year, officially for 2022. And to give you an idea of what that is, the population of the city of Cincinnati proper in our borders is 300,000 people. We're a mid-sized city. Right. Just imagine like an entire city in California just being like, fuck you, we're going to Nashville, which I'm sure doesn't please the people in Tennessee that well. But also, hey, by the way, I saw something, maybe it's yesterday or the day before, I've been too busy to even look at it. Some judge somewhere ruled the bump stock ban unconstitutional.
Really? I did not see that.
Yeah. Well, it's at the weekend, and a lot. I've been busy, but I'm sure a lot of these places they're not going to cover it till Monday. But the idea that all of a sudden, because again, Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump told the ATF, "I don't like bump stocks. So I want you to regulate them." And then the ATF said, "Well, bump stock ban is a machine gun, and so you got to It's like, no, it's not, and so this court, whatever court it was, explicitly said that the authority to do that in the Federal Register doesn't exist with the ATF, because they have to use a legislative process, because the federal code says one trigger pull, multiple shots. It's very explicit as to what definition of a machine gun is. And even under that definition, a bump stock is a single pull for each single shot. It's not Correct. A machine gun. Correct. And so some judge somewhere basically said, nope, she struck it down. So I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Really? Oh, so before I forget, speaking of the range, have you talked to the tractor yet?
Have I talked to the tractor?
Remember what I told you? Are you cold, honey? You need a blanket. Yeah.
No,
Daddy's leaving you out in the cold. Bad Daddy.
I did not run the tractor today.
My God! Yeah. Okay.
So I haven't run that tractor in probably about a week, and really? It'll get run tomorrow because I got these people coming in tomorrow and Monday, Tuesday. But it's like 40-some degrees like during the day. It's fine. It's not that crazy cold. Did you see the video that I posted of its? I think it was 11 degrees and it started.
Yes.
Man.
What kind of anti-gel did you put in it?
I got it at the Massey dealer. So, I've been putting it in for probably about 2 months now.
Right.
So, and I was being real conservative with it, like trying to measure it out exactly. And, and the thing is, I didn't actually, I didn't really take into account that, it already had 30 gallons in or whatever. It's got 27 gallons in it. So it's diluted. So but I run the tractor so much. I've gassed that tractor up about every, I don't know, probably 10 days or 2 weeks. So I've gassed it up 2 or 3 times to put anti-gel in it.
Right.
So, and I guess you could say too, because I did some research on this, a lot of tractor guys, because they get gas delivered in their tanks
Right.
on their farms, and it could be summer gas. And if you're gassing up all the time, and if they switch the blends, maybe they add anti-gel into the winter. Like, I don't know. Like, it was on the internet. I don't know if that's true.
Well,
but then
most of the diesel stations, they switch to the blend anyway through the winter. But I'm still a proponent of putting anti-gel in there, blend or not.
yeah, I'm starting to be more aggressive with it, because right now the tractor sits outside, so I'm still looking to get a barn built. But the thing is too, it's like, well, how often because I drive it up to this gas station. It's like a everything station, it's like a gas station,
Right.
grocery store, like, post office, like, what I'm like, seriously, like,
Rent a movie.
yeah. You can pick up pizza there, like full size, like, I call your order and pizza, come and get it. And, it's like they have regular pump gas, diesel regular, and then they've got this off-road diesel, and they've got off-road diesel and kerosene. And it's like, well, hell, how often does the farm gas get refilled? Like, what I mean? Like, is the farm gas getting used up enough that it in the beginning of the winter it would go to a winter blend?
Well,
what I mean?
Do you know why there is diesel and then off-road diesel? Do you know what the purpose of that?
Yeah, because off-road diesel and the road taxes, and technically you're not running a tractor or bulldozers or heavy equipment on the roads. So
Correct.
legally you shouldn't have to pay road tax.
Well, and did you also know that it's dyed?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I didn't. You city boys, we're trying to educate you here.
Oh, come on. I mean, look, I've swan dived into this tractor shit. I mean, I've had to. So, but
Oh, okay. So now you have to teach me all about it.
I didn't say that. You getting all prickly in your old age? I don't know. You
That's
know,
right.
Now you're just a horse dick, not an elephant dick. You're feeling insecure.
Yeah. Well, it's on the reverse side. Like Mrs. Danny said, you're just a horse's ass. No, I'm just having some fun with you. Actually,
no.
I have to give you a lot of credit. You listen to a lot of people, and you've retained and learned a lot about a tractor. I do have to give you credit.
Oh, I take notes. There's a notebook in that tractor with notes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because it's like I document everything, what's going on. And I don't want to turn this into the tractor episode again, but yeah. So,
but you do. But admit it, you do love running that thing, don't you?
You know what? It's been. Well, we were so behind on range maintenance, like, for just years. Like, I mean, even like content for the John 1911 website, like at some point it got to be like 10% of everything we would post would basically be like, oh, the fucking bush hog's broken again. Oh, this isn't fucking working. And, and you spend hours and hours doing that. And that's time I'm not shooting. And so I had to run to get all that done. I've put almost 80 hours on that tractor.
Wow, that's pretty darn good.
Since we got it. And so, it's kind of down now, but, I'm looking forward to 2023. The John 1911 range is going to be hopping because shit's getting done and the tractor is getting parked. You know what I mean? Do it out of the way. Let's start shooting. Like today was the first time because the tractor right now I have it sitting next to the pit. Today was the first time I've ever shot steel in the pit with that tractor there.
Why would you even want to chance it?
Well, it was on the other side of the pit. I know where the spall goes. Like the spall was like where I park my truck gets hit by spall all the time. And so I was like, there's some projects that were backed up. I had to get the Gemtech running, get it zeroed. Then I had to test it because it's a integrally suppressed gun. I had to test it with this particular suppressor, if it'll read it, because it's shooting suppressed, because I got to get all this shit running because I got video guys coming. Because, I've been talking about we hired video people and we haven't really been producing like content from them because there's been screw ups. So kind of getting fired back up at that. So, today I did some shooting around, like you could see the tractor. I just didn't want to start it and have to move it. Like when there's a barn, it'll be out of the way. But, yeah. So anyway, the tractor's great. It's great for the range. And I'll tell you what. Because since I had to pay more attention to tractors and like heavy equipment, like I've even told you, like because I thought about maybe expanding the range, the rifle range, to get us to say 700 or even 800 yards. About buying an old bulldozer and just cutting through and then selling it. And I saw that Jeremy Renner story, and he got run over by that
snow thing.
They call it a snow cat. It's some kind of
snow
German
cat or whatever the hell it was.
And it's like, oh my, like he was run, like his chest is collapsed.
Well, you will never convince me in a million years that he did not have enough time. They call it seat time. He did not have enough seat time to know the ins and outs of that machine. That's my opinion.
You know what? I don't know. Like, I don't know what that means. Cause like, okay. Like for me, okay.
It means you're not prepared. That would be, okay. That would be like you and I standing there. I go shoot the 308 and you go run a dozer. I think we're cross paths on somewhere. It's called seat time,
Yeah.
And I think it was a toy to, these millionaires like that.
Well, I don't think it's a toy. I mean, he gets like the night before that he ran himself over because it's come out. They got 3 feet of snow, and that wasn't that much. They got 5 feet. Like they get snow up there. It's crazy the amount of snow they get. And he just, he's a guy who's, not unlike me, who's basically, got some means, and he's decided, fuck it, I'm tired of waiting for dudes to come here and get me out. And he started doing it himself and kind of liked it. And my understanding is he was even doing things with the local fire department. Like he's been, and I'm saying all that because to circle back to your point, Jen Psaki, or whatever, he might have 500 hours running that machine, but I don't know if he's ever been instructed on it. You know what I mean? So that gets to your point. Like, I don't think seat time is the real answer. I don't think he's been instructed. Like, apparently, did you hear what happened? Do you know?
He got well, the first thing you do is you make sure every brake is set, every gear is disengaged, and all the other stuff to where you can't get ran over. That's one of the first things that we teach people. And so
apparently a family member got a vehicle stuck, and he was helping them get unstuck, and then he got out of the vehicle to talk or interface, the way it's being relayed, talk or interface with somebody, and then noticed that it was rolling away. And so then he tried to climb up in it when it was rolling away. And and he had to jump up on that giant, because it's not like, you got to jump up on that track.
Right.
And like, talk about jumping on a bulldozer is one thing, but those giant tracks, it's like a giant sidewalk.
Right.
And, I guess maybe he fell and then it just got pinned. It's bad. Like here's the thing. Like they were describing his injuries, and you look at him and it's like half his chest is caved in. Like literally they say half his chest is caved in.
Right.
And he was maybe run over in the head. He still could die. I don't think it's a done deal that he's going to get out. He's going to walk out of that hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. They're
That's
not saying that. I'm saying that.
It's terrible. It's terrible, but well, I'll just leave it at that. It's terrible.
Hold on. When that news came out, what did your little general tell you about me? You remember?
Do you really want me to say it on pod?
Well, yeah. She's like, yeah.
Well, she said several things. She said several things.
Wait a minute. Hey, we have a no Marky dick size policy. No, not that. We're going to talk about no.
She said you better get your ass down there, down to their range. When it's nice out, and you better show Marky every GD in and out of that damn thing because we don't want him getting ran over.
Yeah, I don't want to get run over. And, it's like, to be good at anything, you got to suck. And right now, that tractor, I suck. So, yeah, I can run a tractor.
Here's the first rule of thumb. No matter what, first rule of thumb, you open the door, you set the brake. You open the door, you set the brake. Even if you're opening the door to talk to someone, anytime your hand goes on the door to open it, your other hand or foot goes on the brake. That's the first rule. First rule, always set the brake. No matter what.
I have done that. So, I tell you what, I was surprised. Again, I don't want to talk about tractors all day, but I had left the brake on and was and something was beeping. Like, why is this thing fucking beeping? It's not moving. Beep, beep, beep. And it was the brake. And I guess it was an electronic kill, because I can't imagine the tractor has so much torque it couldn't just overpower a brake if I was giving it gas.
Well, it depends on, these new setups. Remember the ones I ran are probably antiquated compared to yours, but safety is always safety.
Look, my tractor is kind of like the Starship Enterprise. I can go computer,
right.
Give me a scan of the enemy chip, and shit starts happening. So, but yeah, the Jeremy Renner thing. And look, I got to tell you this. I was like, ooh, what's that snowcat thing? I'm like, how much are those? I was like, that's cool. I was watching video of it going up and down these hills. And I'm like, that's interesting. And you know what probably saved him as well? So I heard, check this out. So my tractor weighs 11,000 pounds because it's loaded with,
right.
Weights and fluids. That snowcat ran over him is 14,000 pounds reported. But here's the thing, and I was thinking about this because now I think about this. Those tracks are so wide that the pounds per square inch is spread out. Like if he'd been run over by like a D6, Caterpillar size track, it would have just crushed him like a fucking watermelon.
Well, and he was probably somewhat cushioned between the snow and the track too.
That's why Danny ran tractors professionally. For anyone that's new around here, he worked road maintenance. He literally did this for a living. So yeah, I hadn't thought about the snow. That's a good point. Well, that's a real good point.
Well, that's why you have me.
That's why I have you. No, the little general has you.
Yeah.
The little general.
Yeah, that's as bad as dry firing. Blaser, rifles.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some blowback on that video. I don't want to talk about that right now. So, okay, you know what? You have gone Blaser. You know what? I'll tell you this. I'm probably the most. I'm sure Tom Opry would, or is this Tom Opry? Who's the sing? Opry, OPRE. He's a sponsored Blaser guy, and I'm sure Blaser would say he's the most prominent American person that shoots a Blaser, and I'll be like, nah, I think more people see me with a fucking Blaser. And I don't think Blaser's totally happy with me. Like some of the stuff we do, we talk about the limitations, we try to have aftermarket support, we're testing aftermarket barrels. I know for a fact Blaser has sent threatening letters to the aftermarket barrel people.
Really?
Yeah, that's why the aftermarket barrels for the Blaser rifles don't actually have the Blaser registered model names on them. I'm gonna use a different example, like Remington 700. If they made a barrel for the situation would be if they made a barrel for Remington 700s, then Remington would send a letter saying, "Fuck you." That's a registered trademark. You can't use that fucking name. And so then they end up calling it the Shazbot 700 barrels. Wink, wink. And then people know what that means. And that's what's going on with Blaser. Yeah. And that's not the greatest situation at all.
Do you have a 338 Lapua? Or no?
I do.
Okay. And do you have the aftermarket barrel for 338, or are you running the straight Blaser?
Actually, I have the 338 Lapua factory Blaser tactical 2-barrel, and then I have a 338 Lapua barrel from JSIP that we haven't even started testing yet because we're still testing the 308. But yeah, he sent one over. And it'll have a faster twist rate than the Blaser stuff is notoriously slow twist. So you have issues stabilizing heavy bullets sometimes. And actually, the thing is now, which all the cool kids, like all the people that are into the really high end of the precision rifle and snipers and military stuff, they're all moving away from 338 Lapua. They're shooting something now called 338 Norma Magnum, 338 NM, and the thing is, like, Blaser's not going to make that freaking caliber. They're not going to make that. But the thing is, these JSIP people, Justin, I think he'd make that, and because they're getting the 338 Norma, they're getting performance that's crossing, it's almost getting up to, you get better ballistic performance, but you're getting a range, an accurate range. It's, you're up to 50 BMG. Like it's preferable to 50 BMG. Like the new, the new SIG belt-fed machine guns. They're multi-caliber, but they're big caliber. They're not made in 50 BMG. They're made because that's such a heavy gun. And they're so big. The 338 Norma Magnum is a smaller necked round, and so it takes a smaller receiver and a smaller gun. So they're getting kind of performance for real applications similar to 50, but it's a smaller. The ammo's lighter and the gun's lighter, and so that Norma Magnum is the shit.
Yeah, was it you that was telling me, or somebody was telling me, their average cost per round of a 338 Lapua is like $4 or $5 a round now?
Yeah, 338 can be about $5 a round. The 50, there's one SWAT team that shoots they shoot an Accuracy International 50 BMG bolt action gun, and they were running a Barrett, which most people are familiar with, like the video game kids, semi-automatic, made in Tennessee, and the state of Ohio issued a 50 BMG state qualification. And so that qualification, I believe, is... I'm trying to see, I have to remember. It's out to 300 yards, and I think the gun has to do... Is it a 2 MOA accuracy out to 300 yards? I think it is. Like a 2, like, you have to... And then, like, the course of fire, like, you got to be standing, and then you have to drop, shoot, engage, then you have to swing the gun, engage another target. So like you have to start from a non-shooting position and get in position and shoot the qualification. But the thing is, the state qualifications, they're not crazy tight, but the reality is that Barrett 50 BMG gun, it won't hold that. It won't hold that accuracy.
No, because the barrel's so damn long.
Well, it's not the barrel's long. It's just not an accurate gun. It doesn't hold. It doesn't. There's a lot of slop in the action. It's a semi-automatic, and it's just not it's not an accurate gun. Like it's just not. It's the most people don't. I'm really going off on a tangent here. The Barrett M82 semi-automatic gun. Most people call it a sniper rifle. And it's not a sniper rifle because it was never made as a sniper rifle. It's not accurate as a sniper rifle. And then people call it a anti-materiel rifle. And it's like, well, that's technically not true either. The Barrett was actually made by, what's that guy's name? Barrett's first name, the dad. Is it Robbie? Robbie Barrett? I can't remember what the father versus the son, but he was a gun enthusiast, and he was like, he had exposure to somebody that had 50 BMG. And, he could get the ammo, but he wanted to shoot a gun that wasn't like this big ass machine gun, and he wanted to shoot the ammo. So he built this gun as a hobby gun for him. So he could, because he had access to the ammo, and he was like, I just want to shoot this ammo, but I don't want to shoot this big giant, M2 Browning machine gun. I don't need a machine gun. And so he built this thing, and actually it's really crazy if you look into the history. So Dana, like when you look at machined parts, a lot of it will be like CNC and metric,
right,
and all that. Well, this gun, the first guns he made, they're handcrafted, and I think he was a woodworker. I think if I remember, I think he was a guy that was really good with making furniture. So he built the gun in using like 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, like he was making a table. And really? So when you go to the original guns were not made to be they weren't made to be serial manufactured, because he didn't mathematically have them blueprinted in a way to have them manufactured like that. And then what was it? He brought the gun to, I think it was there's a various Defense Department conventions for vendors. And we were a member of one of the groups there about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And he went to one of these, and nobody was buying. But I think he got maybe like Norway.
Excuse me.
Bless you. He got Norway to, they were like, oh, this is cool. And Norway bought it as like, I think what do you call it? The guys that, the Hurt Locker guy, the guys that, the demining guys, like what do you call I've been up all day. I'm having a brain fart. The guy, like the bomb techs, like the EOD, explosive ordnance disposal. So if there's if I think it was Norway, but like, let's say there's a bombing range out there and an airplane comes by and drops a bomb on this bombing range, and the bomb doesn't go off. Well, you can't leave this live ass bomb out there. You got to deal with it. So, they have to demill the bomb. So one thing they had wanted this gun to do was they could stand off, and if they needed, they could just shoot. They could, and the gun, if the gun, holds an 8-inch group at 200 yards, they're like, I don't give a fuck. They just want to set the bomb off.
It would.
Yeah, and so they got it for that reason, and then they were, because they're NATO, they were somewhere, and Air Force EOD guys saw the gun, and they were like, man, that's cool as hell. So Air Force came and bought some, and so Air Force EOD had them. So mind you, none of this is about sniper rifles. This is where I'm going with this. And then, like, when eventually Special Forces, they're like, we need a bigger gun to do whatever, or to shoot longer range, especially maybe across these mountain valleys in Afghanistan. And so the first thing they do is they look in NATO inventories using the NSN numbers, and they were like, here's this 50 BMG gun that they saw. They're like, oh, fuck, we'll use that. So then it became a anti-material sniper rifle, kinda, not really. But the gun was never built to be that accurate. And so, yeah, so they're just not so, that's why this police department, they had to spend big money, and they bought this English 50 BMG gun that, it's like, but to answer your question, it was $7 a shot before inflation.
Wow.
Yeah, it was $7, and it was And that was a couple of years ago too, because they bought and when they bought the gun, they bought all the ammo they have. My understanding, I'm not that I would know, but my understanding is that they bought all the ammo like at the same time. You know what I mean? They didn't buy like, we're going to buy this rifle and be like, oh, here's a box of ammo. Like they bought enough to hold them over for a while, and so they've been shooting from that inventory. They have to qualify on it twice a year, but it's like that was $7 a shot a couple of years ago. And it's probably, that shit's probably 10.
I'll bet you it's up to $12 a shot now.
It could be, dude. It really could be. That shit's. They spend some money just shooting the qual. Each sniper's got to shoot the qual. Because if they get called out on it and they're not qualified on it, like if they get called out on it and they make a shot and they're heroes, it's fine. But if they make a shot and it ends up in court for some reason and they're not qualified on it, it's going to be somebody's ass.
Right.
So,
well, that's why I love a 308.
Well, speaking of somebody's ass, do we have a Speaker of the House yet?
Do we what?
Do we have a Speaker of the House yet?
Yes. I wouldn't call it ass. I would call him guy needed knee pads. It's. I think there's probably about 30 people in Congress that could say how straight his part is in hair. But anyway, he. What?
It's terrible.
Why are you laughing then?
Because I'm imagining you're sitting right in front of the little general saying this.
No. I'm actually in the back room. The little general is. I don't know. I think she's just writing down orders for tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But anyway. Yeah. What happened is you had to have 118 votes. All right.
Or 218. 217, 218, whatever it was.
218, I'm sorry. You had to have 218 votes or whatever the hell it was.
But it can float. Like if people are not there or they're out sick, the number can come down.
Right. Well, anyway, if you vote present, the present votes also go to the party of who that present voter is.
The present vote will lower the threshold of total votes needed.
Correct. And that's why, from what I understand, is that now it can only take one congressman, if McCarthy does something they don't like, to put on the floor for a recall vote to get rid of his ass. That was one of the concessions that he gave into. He is also putting, like Matt Gaetz and some of the other very stalwart Trump people, very right-wingers, huge committee chairmanships, because they were worried that McCarthy was going to be pure politician and cut deals and not do investigations and all this other stuff. Well, McCarthy would have sold his firstborn to get that chairmanship or the speakership.
No.
So what he did is he cut all these deals. He promised all these other stuff, but the hardliners also got the concession of it would only take one congressman's vote now to call for a recall on the floor. So he's going to have to walk a very fine line on keeping the hard right people happy and the moderate happy. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, a couple interesting things I'd heard, a couple other the concessions I had heard were some of these Matt Gaetz. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan of him. Just something about him, I don't know why. I have no logical reason to not like him. I just don't. Something about him. I'm like, I don't know. Like the hairs go up in the back of my head about him. I suspect. I don't know. Something about him, but neither here nor there. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and some of the other maybe the Freedom Caucus, they are being allowed basically classified access to some kind of special group, and this is to see secret compartmentalized, top secret compartmentalized information relative to the DOJ and the FBI and the Russian collusion stuff. And he granted that. And I thought that was super interesting. And I heard he agreed that they will have a special select committee for investigating the DOJ, which is really Latin for investigating the FBI. Because I agree with that one. Because, look, like,
the weaponizing of the DOJ is going to be investigated.
Well, that's what they called it, but really it's about going after the FBI.
Right.
So, there's a lot of people that want to make the argument, they're with all breathlessly, they're like, we have to change democracy and, changing of power and peaceful transition of power. And I agree with all of that 100%. We don't need to be a banana republic. We don't need to be having pretty little, patriots who are Air Force veterans getting gunned down because they finally got to the point inside the Capitol building where they were not going to go any farther. Like that didn't need to happen either. But, all the breathless people talking about peaceful transition of power and the rule of law and democracy. Okay. January 6th. Okay. That's totally fine. Now let's talk about the FBI. Let's talk about Stroke and Page. Let's talk about the DNI Clapper. Let's talk about all the shit that they did from 2016 in the first months of Trump's presidency on, quote, the peaceful transition of power and try to remove President Trump from office on made up espionage charges.
Right.
Like, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, I'm not looking for revenge. I'm looking for the truth. Like, I want to know who the fuck Ray Epps is. Now, I'll tell you what, I saw, talking about January 6th, a couple things here. This has to be admitted. We have to admit this, and I don't know if you'll agree. The January 6th committee didn't have any of the Freedom Caucus members on it, right? Because they had wanted to have, I think, Jim Jordan on it. Jim Jordan seems to be like their go-to, he's like their Mike Tyson, Jim Jordan. And Nancy Pelosi was like, fuck you, Jim Jordan. He's not on it. And so Trump told McCarthy, and this is Trump's fault. Trump told McCarthy, fuck them, don't cooperate, don't be a part of the committee, the investigation, make it look partisan. And so McCarthy, being a good little soldier, not that McCarthy cares about Trump, but he's like, okay, so we won't put any, because they could have put people on that committee. I mean, Kinzinger and what's her face,
Liz Cheney.
Yeah, they were the tokens.
They were two sellouts anyway.
But but wait a minute. No, the Republicans could have been like, no, they're not fucking on there, and we're gonna put a couple other Republicans on there, real Republicans, if you want to make the argument, real Republicans.
But they were told to stand. Other Republicans were told to stand down.
Now, okay, whoa, no, don't rewrite history. They wanted the Freedom people, the Trump people, the Republicans, they wanted to put Jim Jordan and some real heavy hitters on the January 6th committee. And Nancy Pelosi was like, no, you're not going to put him on there. And so they had a hissy fit. Donald Trump said, don't cooperate. And so what ended up happening in the January 6th committee? Well, let's put it, let me put this in common sense political terms, okay?
It was a witch hunt.
No.
Oh,
Donald
yes,
Trump,
it was.
Let me finish. Donald Trump fucked this up. It was a witch hunt because Donald Trump fucked this up. You know that, right? I'm explaining it to you if you don't. Because Donald Trump told them, don't put anybody on the fucking committee. Of course, Liz and Kinzinger,
what was his reasoning for that?
Because he did not want to. Well, he did it. I mean, you have to ask him. But he was like, we're not going to, don't do it. He told McCarthy, don't do it. Don't cooperate. Don't put anybody on it. It's a partisan witch hunt. Stay off. And so they're like, okay, we're going to stay off. We're going to ignore this. And so what did this really work out being? So you had Republicans and you had Democrats in the House. And they said, hey, we're going to have a yelling contest. And Republicans, would you like a microphone for this yelling contest? And because of Donald Trump, the Republicans are like, no, we're not going to take that microphone or that bullhorn. We're going to go ahead and sit. We're going to sit this one out. You go ahead and have your yelling contest all by yourself. Well, guess what happens? You have a committee that doesn't even call Ray Epps.
That's true.
Now, so whose fault is that? That's Donald Trump. Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump told McCarthy to do that, and McCarthy wasn't about to go against Donald Trump. That was a fuck up. Donald Trump's got a bunch of these little fuck ups. Now, here's another one that's kind of interesting. How do I say this? You know what? I lost my train of thought. So
you were going to throw another caveat to the January 6th committee.
Oh. So I saw a story. So again, this is interesting. So, Ray Epps, right? Like, I haven't really paid attention to the Ray Epps thing, but it's like, that's super interesting. You see video of Ray Epps, and it's like, look, I'm not saying Ray Epps is a, whatever. It's like, but, I'd like to ask him some questions. Like, what's going on here? Apparently he was on a list, or his name was put out there, then it was retracted. And it's like, was he or wasn't he? And now, was he working with the federal government? Was he working with the FBI? Those people that have bathed themselves in glory, Comey and the rest of them, from 2016, those assholes. I'm talking about an agency that's just really in the dumpster right now.
Yes,
and it's like,
are.
Ray Epps didn't get brought up. It's like, okay, well, but there's an interesting story. And this is where people on my side have to be careful. So Ray Epps talked to, I think it was a British media outlet. And again, I don't know if it's true because it's not under oath, but consider the possibility. You have to consider all the possibilities. Ray Epps came out and said, I'm not an FBI informant. I'm not this. I'm not that. He's a MAGA guy. And he said, since this has all happened, like he said, like there were grumblings about me. And then I remember what he said. He said there were grumblings about me, but it wasn't really affecting my life. But I can't remember who it was. It was somebody on television, I don't know if it was a politician, raised his name. And then his life went crazy. And he said his wife had to go into hiding, and he stays at his house, to protect his property and, all this. And it's like, It's like, all right. Well, here's the thing. Is Ray Epps an FBI informant? I don't know. What if, I'm not saying I believe this, but what if Ray Epps is an actual true red MAGA Trump guy? And just now the mob has decided he's a traitor and they're trying to destroy him. And it's like, okay, well, another reason to call him for the January 6th committee and have these conversations. And this is my criticism. I'm going to back up here. When all this was happening with the election, and the Supreme Court chose not to hear motions and arguments from the attorneys for the Trump people. We were hearing, and I'm going somewhere with this. We were hearing stories about the voting machines. We were hearing stories about, there'd be surveillance footage of supposedly like boxes under a table down in Georgia. You remember that?
Right.
And then there was footage of like these two women, like one woman handed another woman a USB card or a USB stick. and that was on surveillance video, and then it was a couple other things. Well, a couple of things have come out. So, and this came out in the January 6th committee hearings, which is worth hearing. So, the two women that were seen on video handing a USB stick, supposedly with votes on it, that were counting votes or worked at the Board of Elections. And I think it was in Georgia. I think it was in Atlanta. Well, they're mother and daughter. And apparently they're saying, yeah, mom handed me a stick of gum. And further investigations, it's shown no memory sticks or USB sticks, none of this stuff. But the thing is, all of this stuff was coming out, and it was on TV, and nobody was refuting it. It came out during the January 6th committee. These two women, they got contacted by the FBI. They were like, you got to go into hiding because we're seeing crazy people that now know you exist and think that you stole the election, and they want to kill you. And the daughter, she was like, well, I guess, we'll be careful. We didn't do anything. At one time, this woman was home. A guy broke into her house and said she was under citizen's arrest because he was all worked up over what was being said on Fox News and Sean Hannity and on Twitter. We all saw it. And we were all worked up on it. And we have to start acknowledging what was true and what wasn't true. And it looks like these two women, it wasn't true. But they got slimed for this. What if Ray Epps is actually just a Trump guy? And what would be the point of me saying that? This is the dangerous thing about mobs. Because it's easy for me to sit here at John 19:11 and be like, yeah, fucking Ray Epps guy, that's fucking bullshit and all this and all that. And be like, just his name and his face and where he lives and what he does. And pretty soon that mobs will be coming after me possibly. And it's like, we have to stick with the truth. And I'm telling you all that to tell you this, Danny. And this is going to break your heart. Have you followed the lawsuit that is going on between the company that with the voting machines that counted the elections and Fox News?
No, I have not.
Fox News hasn't covered it. That's interesting. Breitbart hasn't covered it. It's interesting.
Well, here's my take on the entire January 6th committee. Their whole purpose, actually the last 5 years' purpose of the Democrats, has been to release Trump's tax records. To me, and because that was their last official act as the January 6th committee before this new House is being sworn in. To me, that was the bottom line, no matter what, to make Trump look bad by releasing his tax records.
And that's, I got to be honest with you, that's pretty scary. Because it's not just to release his tax records. They're just because people on the other side, they're so into this class warfare. They're just like, rich people have to be lying on their taxes. And it's like, he gets audited all the time in New York. And, and like the last time this happened, this is so scandalous. But I want to go back to the lawsuit thing in a minute. This is so scandalous that, you're not supposed to get access to your tax records. Those are private records because of the IRS, because they can be quite invasive. Because if you even submit something to the IRS that isn't correct, you can go to jail for that. You sign something, even if someone else prepared it and you sign it, and it's not correct, you can be charged because you signed it. And the last time this happened was, what was his name? Who's the senator who was the leader, who was the from Nevada, the Democrat? Harry Reid. He got on the Senate floor, and why he did this. Harry Reid did not get on CNN and say this. Harry Reid did not get in the New York Times and say this because he could be sued. but there is and no member of Congress can be held liable for anything they say on the floor of Congress. It's in the Constitution. It's a way to protect congressmen from political retribution. Harry Reid got on the Senate floor and he said, the word is out that Mitt Romney doesn't pay taxes.
I remember that.
And, you can't sue him. He's like, I have it on good information or whatever. He said something. A little bird told me. And that led to people leaking his taxes. And it turns out there was nothing there. But the story was Mitt Romney didn't pay his taxes. And that damaged him greatly in 2012. And now here we are again. They're doing this with taxes. And that's scary as hell. Now, let's go back to the what was the name of the company that ran the voting machines that supposedly were hooked in with Venezuela?
It's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it right now.
Well, they're suing Fox News for $1 billion. Did you know that? Yeah, you don't know that. It's a big story. It's a big story, but nobody covers it unless Fox doesn't cover it. None of the conservative media outlets cover it. Nope. So, check this shit out. They're suing Fox News because Fox News said that, like Venezuela, they connect with Venezuela and all these different things. They're part of stealing the they were saying like their data was like going to fucking Italy, and like, man, remember that one? Like their data was being stored in Italy. Like, are they counting our votes in Italy or some shit? Like all these crazy rumors. So, what was Trump's lawyer's name? The woman who came out during, in November. What was her name? Do you remember? It was Giuliani. Powell. What was her name? Powell?
Yeah. Dementia's kicking in tonight. I got Harry Reid for you. I can't think of it right now.
I think it's Powell. So filibuster for me while I look. Say something.
What?
Filibuster for me while I look. This isn't working. I'm telling you to talk so I can type in something. You're not being a good podcast co-host here. So I can. What was her name? Sidney Powell. That was her name.
Sidney Powell.
Sidney Powell. Okay, so Sidney Powell came out. All right, and this came out during the January 6th committee hearings, and then some stuff has come out with the lawsuit with Fox News. So apparently, Sidney Powell was coming out and she was briefing the president, and she was telling the president over the phone about all these different theories she had about how they stole the election. And at some point, Donald Trump looked at somebody else and they were like, do you believe this? And it's like, no. And Donald Trump's like, I don't believe this shit either. He actually said that. Well, he didn't say that publicly. Now check this out. Here's the interesting thing. So Sidney Powell came out and accused this, whatever the company was, that that ran these voting machines. And so now they're suing Fox News for $1 billion. So they have gotten Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity's the number one. I think it was two of the three people. So Sean Hannity, they're accusing Sean Hannity of slander. I think they're accusing Judge Jeanine of slander, and they're accusing who's
Tucker?
the woman on CNBC?
Okay.
No, what's her name? Maria Bartiromo.
Martha McCallum.
No, Maria Bartiromo. She's on Fox Business. I'm sorry. She was on CNBC. She's on Fox Business. So they were coming out saying all these things. And so under oath, they asked Sean Hannity specifically about these out and named them like this one and this one and this one and this one. And they asked Sean Hannity under oath, did you believe that these were true? Now, Sean Hannity could have said yes. He could have said yes. That would have helped Fox News. Because, look, you can be wrong like, like you can have a theory about Ray Epps, but the truth will come out, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, if Sean Hannity admitted this shit was true, or if he thought it was true, even if it turns out not to be, he's in the clear. Sean Hannity came out and said, no, I didn't believe a word of it.
Really?
Yup. That hurt Fox News, because now it's like, fuck me. Well, why didn't Sean Hannity just say, well, yeah, I believed it, because it seemed logical at the time. It's because they're going to go through the emails, they're going to go through the text messages, and all these little conversations. Like, what she said? What is she fucking talking about? Like these things are reshuffling the numbers and doing this and multiplied by 9. What is she talking about? Where's she getting this from? They were talking amongst themselves, and they were incredulous on some of it. And now they know if they had come out and said, like, I believed it, then they're going to get him for perjury.
Right. Well, you're getting back to the January 6th committee. It's going to be interesting because, number one, I think that committee is now over. And number two, if there are offspring committees or subcommittees from that, I guarantee you none of the Democrat players will be on it that were on it before.
Well, they'll try to ignore it. They'll be like, we've already done this. This is old news. We're going to talk about this again? I don't know. But like, okay, but just to put a bow on the point I just made, Sean Hannity and Sidney Powell lied about a lot of the stuff that they said was going on November 8th, whatever the election day was. She was making shit up, and she didn't have any proof. And she came out on TV. She's like, "We got proof. We got this. We got that." And then she carried it as long as she could. Maybe she was hoping she could get the proof, or people would give her the proof, and it never materialized. And then now they're all being sued. Here's the thing. It's looking right now like Fox News is going to lose $1 billion lawsuit.
Huh.
Can Fox News pay $1 billion? I don't know.
Maybe if they have Pete Rose lay some bets off to the side for them.
Yeah, maybe. But, like, I don't know. Like, is Fox News liability insurance, whatever that would be for a news agency, cover $1 billion hit? I don't think Fox News could go bankrupt.
Yeah, but will that set precedent from everybody suing every news organization now?
You're not allowed. It's called. You're not allowed to libel people.
Yeah.
You can't knowingly report shit that's wrong, and you have to do your due diligence. Talk about precedent. What about the kid from Covington Catholic? They went and said all this shit about that kid. He's a racist, and he did this, and he fucked with the Indian, and blah 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 blah. And he's like a 16-year-old kid standing there with his little zits. Suddenly he's on a field trip to Washington, and suddenly now he's the face of white supremacy or some shit. And it's like they all had to write that kid a check.
Yeah, CNN paid him over $400 million or something.
No, I doubt it was that much.
I thought it was some call cash.
No, it's not to be disclosed.
I think it was like $300 or $400 million. Look it up.
It's not $400 million. $400 million? No, that's what they were asking. No, wait a minute. No, they sued them. They're like, we want damages. We're going to sue this channel for $25 million, this channel for $200 million, this channel for whatever. They didn't get that. They didn't get that.
Well, he's got more money now than when he started on the field trip.
I heard on the grapevine that he got a check from, I guess after the legal fees, he got a check for like $25,000 from one of the companies. But that's on the down low.
I heard he got millions.
Huh?
I heard he got millions.
No, it's not. It's an undisclosed. It's an undisclosed settlement.
Oh,
sealed. It's a sealed settlement.
One of those don't ask, don't tell.
So whatever they it's a gay settlement. Don't ask, don't tell. It's super gay. So ultra gay.
Right.
But it's like. It's undisclosed. It's a sealed settlement, so they could have written him a check for $100 million. They didn't because there's not that much. But like they could say, it was like whatever, a little whatever, because they're not going to. It's part of the terms of it. It can't be disclosed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, other than politics and the new speaker and the January 6th committee and the tractor and the range and the film crews and this and that, what the hell else is going on in this world?
You know what? Since we don't have a police blotter and we've gone a little bit over an hour, we're going to end this on a positive note.
All right,
And
I'm on for that.
I'm going to say this guy's. I think I have his name right. But let me confirm it. Danny, say something while I search my phone. I don't want dead air.
Well, I and Marky and all of us involved in the John 1911 family would like to wish everyone a very happy and prosperous new year.
That was good. So okay. So I'm gonna. This is a feel good story. So I've looked his name up. So, I had done a. I don't know, like a post or a rant, and because we were looking for a Madsen M. Is the M47? It's a Madsen bolt action rifle. I think it's the Madsen M47. This is for the Milsurp guys, or if you don't know what this is considered the last military issue bolt action rifle in the 20th century, because everybody was going to assault rifles, right? Everyone went to the AK-47 in 1947. And so this gun came out in the 50s. I think the contract was issued for it in the late 40s, and so it was delivered in the 50s, but by then it was already obsolete. And so it's a 30-06 caliber gun. It's made by Madsen, or it's called a Madsen M47. And, we've wanted one for years, and, they were out there. They weren't crazy money. But then and most of them aren't even shot. Like they're almost, because they were never really issued, because they were, I wasn't like the Colombians were going to be like, hey, everyone take these bolt action rifles. Like I think some of the ceremonial people used them, or might have used them for
Is it a Springfield copy?
It's behind me. I'm in the armory. I don't want to.
Just asking.
It's a. Let me take a look. Hello? Yeah, I'll tell you what. It definitely seems it's got a flag safety on it. I think, yeah, flags. It's dry. It's got a turn bolt that kind of looks like, almost looks like a Mosin, but it's a Mauser. It's a Mauser type action. So,
Mauser. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Mauser type action. So anyway, I had gone public, and I, like people on Gunbroker are asking like 13, 15. One guy's asking 1,900, and these guns, they're not selling. Like one guy listed higher, and now they're all listing them higher. None of these guns are moving, and I'm like, I'm not paying 1,300. I'm certainly not paying 1,900. This is a $900 gun. It's a $900 gun. It's all it is. And so I was like, it was just an example of me being frustrated with the market, because I should have bought one when I could. I'm like, I will not pay this. They will be $900. Well, I just want to say I got a Christmas present. I want to say the person's last name. You know who you are. Your name is Andrew. So this guy Andrew reaches out. He goes, hey, Marky, I think it was his late grandfather. He says, my late grandfather, had a small, I believe, the way he presented it to me. I mean, he could have a huge collection. But basically, he says, I'm going to be home for the holidays. My grandfather had, my late grandfather had a small collection of military surplus guns, and I know one of them is a Madsen. And for like $900, because you said you want 900, you'll do it for 900. I'm like, he's like, would you be a buyer? And I'm like, absolutely. Just send me pictures. And I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. I mean, if it's all torn to hell. Well, he's like, well, I'll be home, for the holidays, and I'll pull it out and we'll take pictures. So he sends me pictures, and it's pretty gorgeous. I mean, it's not cherry mint, but it's not beat to hell. And it looks like a nice house. And I was like, yeah, so like shipping or whatever it was, I don't know if it's like $925 or something. So yeah, it showed up. He had them, and we have a policy. We do a thing. It's like, if we're going to be buying. If we buy stuff, we, as an armory, we only do electronic payments. We don't do money orders. We don't do cashier's checks. We don't do all that goofy shit. Like, we're gonna do an electronic payment to you, and because you know who we are, and we are very well known, and we're an established business, and if you fuck us, it gives us ability to track you down and fucking get you or get our money back. because, so I was like, will you do electronic transfer of some kind? And he was like, yeah, sure. Andrew, your skun, I am so happy. Thank you very much. It was the highlight of my Christmas that out of the blue, this just dropped in our lap. A listener, announced a supporter, gave us a fair deal on a fair rifle, and it will get used and featured and put in our reference collection. And it was just tickled me to death. Like, what a great way to start 2023.
Very nice. Uh-oh, the little general's got the hands on the hips, and she's whispering 22 mag. 22 mag. I think you know what that means.
Smith & Wesson 3. I have to buy a Smith & Wesson. So I'll tell you what. So, okay, hold on. If anybody listening to this podcast can get us a good deal on a Smith & Wesson, I think it's a 351 little J-frame 22 mag revolver, that we need one because we want Mrs. the Little General to shoot it at the range. And we've been talking about getting one for a year, and I've never run across one in person, and I just keep putting it off on the internet. So,
maybe Southwest Shooter Supply might get one in.
I was in there. Well, I was in there picking up the Madsen, and I literally saw a little gun in there, and I was like, "Oh shit, is that a 22 Magnum?" Because I was thinking of Mrs. Danny. I'm sorry.
You have to add it.
Hold on, 116. I was thinking of Mrs. Danny, and thinking
the general,
about that gun.
The general. Just call her the general.
The general, and she's not out of mind, and so no, we don't have one yet, so we'll have to get one. So,
one quick question: are all the mugs gone?
Oh yeah, they're long gone.
Good.
They were gone. They were gone. Like they sold. I don't think they lasted a week.
I don't think so either. They moved a lot of Christmas presents in there. One guy bought 3 of them.
Yeah. We had multiple people order 2. We had ordered 2 multiple. We had multiple 2s, and one guy ordered 3. I remember that one because it was so interesting. And we had one APO, Army Post Office. No, I was thinking FPO. APO, Army Post Office order, and we can't track that. So we reached out to the guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got it." So he got it, and then we had an order that was literally going to make me lose the last of my hair because it just disappeared. Like, we dropped it off to ship it. We even took it to the downtown center here in Cincinnati, and It never got scanned in. It wasn't moving, and I'm like, and we shipped them with their Arctic mugs, and we just shipped them in their original cases and their boxes, and I'm like, son of a bitch, did the guy steal it? And, I'm like getting ready to, I'm going to have to freaking I can't replace it. Like, the only cup I've got left is like, hey, would you like mine? I've been drinking out of it because we sold them. And, and so I reached out to the guy, and I'm like, hey, just by chance, did you get your order? He's like, oh yeah, we got it. And then I checked, and it showed up delivered. It turns out they were so busy with the holiday. I spoke to the post office. They said it just didn't get scanned, and it was moving, and it'll pop up at the end. And turns out what they said was true. I was like, yeah, you lying. Like they stole it. Like Ray Epps stole the mug. Ray Epps got the mug. And it turns out, no, it showed up. So post office comes through again. So.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. But if you get a next batch, get them without handles.
Yeah, we'll do something different. We're not going
to. Remember, that way the lid is always centered.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some other stuff. We're going to do some other. We're not just going to do coffee mugs. We're going to do other things. We're going to be merchandising, but it's going to be it's going to be the same deal. It's in stock and it's out of stock. Order it now. It's not going to be a continuous item. So. Anything else you want to say on this first episode of 2023?
No, actually, it was nice to blow the dust off my iPad and my and my headphone system. I mean, it's been, I want to say, after Thanksgiving was our last one. Look up the date if you can. I know it's way before Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I'd done some solo ones, but
Yeah, well, yeah, they were okay. I'll leave it at that.
yeah, I know. We get feedback. I know. I'm not everybody. I'm not your favorite listener at home. I know I'm not your favorite. You know, it's okay.
Well, no, it's enjoyable to do the pod but you've been crazy busy. I've been crazy busy between the medical and consulting and all the other things, and it's just like it's the dead of winter. You would think we would have nothing but time, but and I'm sure yourself, we find ourselves busier than ever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's been so busy. We're gonna end up bidding a barn being constructed in the Midwest in February, which is insane. That's how behind we
insane.
are. That's insane.
That is insane.
But you know what? Maybe it won't be busy. We'll get a discount.
I'm good.
All righty. Well, this wraps up episode 284 of the John 1911 podcast. If you want to see any more stories or pictures or links, please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Happy 2023, everybody.
Bye-bye.